This podcast is a member of the New York City Podcast Network at nycpodcastnetwork.com. Visit us to listen to over 250 amazing podcasts just like this one.
Japanese street style is some of the cutest and trendiest clothing in the world. Introducing Cherry Goddess Women's Clothing and Accessories, the hottest original and cute clothing company. We offer tops, clothes, accessories, shoes, dresses and skirts, and comfortable homeware that we guarantee you will love. Cherry Goddess Women's Clothing, super cute Japanese style clothing.
This is Jeffrey Frazier, Black Wall Street Chronicles, back at it again. So the last episode of Game of Thrones, a lot of people thought it was horrible. I'm not really into Game of Thrones like that. I'm gonna binge watch it to see what's the big deal, but I'm on season 2 and I'm starting to understand, what's the deal. But I did saw the last episode and I was like, how is anybody going to defeat somebody that has psychic powers and knows everything that's going to happen before it happens? That's why Bran is sitting on the Iron Throne, I guess. Well, there is no Iron Throne since Dragon burned the shit to the ground. Which I thought was probably how all the fans feel. Like, he was like, my mother is not going to sit on this throne. I'm going to set this whole shit on fire. No one sits on it. It's evil. It needs to die. Anyway, enough with the escapism. We're going to talk about some real shit today. Real good. Being that what's going on with the gender politics and abortion, and I felt that this episode, I'm going to speak from my heart and talk about how, the United States of America society completely disrespects black women, and how this actually relates to what's going on with the abortion and what's basically going on with the state of the African American community. And the reason why we're talking about it, because here, Black Wall Street Chronicles, we talk about the building of black businesses, and black women are the top entrepreneurs and the most educated group of people in this country. So this episode is going to be dedicated to black women. Okay? So in other news, about the Roe versus Wade, I can basically talk about the history of black feminism to start it off. Black feminists and white feminists seem to have this tug of war of power ever since the days of when Margaret Sanger and Sojourner Truth used to go into their debates in the first wave feminist movement. If America had any common sense in 1865, instead of just having black men have the right to vote, they should have had all women, white women, black women, and so forth, also have the right to vote. And I really don't understand. I don't understand it at all. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick short break, and then when I come back, we'll basically talk more about it. Okay? Take care. Welcome back. This is Jeffrey Frazier for Black Wall Street Chronicles, back at it again. Yeah, so basically what we're talking about today is how the United States of America and American society treats black women, which is not very good. First, we're going to talk about the two stereotypes of black women that they have in media and they have in Hollywood. And it's really only two. Yeah, you would think it is more, but it's actually two that they show constantly. And these images are problematic. The two images that they like to show in Hollywood and in mainstream media is, the first image is the Jezebel. Society believes, America and all of Western society believes, that if you see an attractive black woman, that it's in her nature to be a slut or a floozy. And black woman is the most sexually objectified woman on the planet. There's the story of this black woman back in a long time ago. Her name is Sarah Bartman, and Sarah Bartman, she was a very voluptuous black woman, and she was put on display in France. And she was called, I believe her exhibit was called something Venus. And she was contracted various STDs because she was, and France was having sex with her, and she ended up dying. And they had this woman on display in a exhibit like she's an animal for a long time, and they recently just buried her remains. You can basically say that Sarah Bartman is actually the first Instagram model, or the first model, because if you look at these Instagram models, and let me tell you something, I follow some of these women on Instagram. Very beautiful black women, very beautiful, and it's actually a shame they're sexually objectified. But we're going to give you an example. I'm going to give you examples here on Black Wall Street Chronicles on the various movies that shows the over-the-top, over-sexualized black woman. Well, the first one is I can think about is Monster Ball, the infamous scene when one of our great actresses, Halle Berry, had to have sex with a racist. Her character had to have sex with a racist white man, and they're actually having sex. It's not simulated. And normally, don't have any problem with interracial sex. Like, a lot of us look at interracial sex on porn all the time. It's just the context of what this interracial sex entailed. You see, the character that Billy Bob Thornton was playing recently was responsible for Halle Berry's husband to be executed. And after he executed her husband, he had sex with her. And he's so racist that after he has sex with this beautiful black woman, he vomits in the toilet. Like, having sex with this beautiful black woman is the most disgusting thing that he's ever done. The context of that scene is disgusting, and because of that, Halle Berry has not been able to get a good movie role from Hollywood. She's recently starring in John Wick 3. I can't wait to see that. She's going to be one of the assassins that supports John Wick, and I can't wait to see her in that. I want to see her in a badass scene when she's kicking people's asses and killing people. That would be amazing. Angela Bassett, they went to Angela Bassett first with that role, and Angela Bassett, she's not stupid, she's not cultural. I won't say stupid, because that will mean to say that Halle Berry is stupid. No, she's not culturally naive. She looked at the script, she analyzed it, and realized that this was some horse shit, and she did not take that role. Good for Angela Bassett. There's other scenes where you look and you can see the black woman is basically playing the Jezebel. You can look at the image of Nicki Minaj and Lil' Kim, and you can basically look at the image and they over-sexualize the black woman. For example, Beyonce, she goes on the stage and she oozes feminism, and she oozes being a mother and still being beautiful and control of her sexuality. But there was one time when I think Beyonce was performing at a show and some random white man grabbed her on her ass. Like, dude, that's not your ass to grab. And Beyonce just looked at him and said, just stared at him and said, "We kicking you out of the show. That's disrespectful. You don't do that." Yeah, that's really disrespectful, and I don't know. I really don't know. What other examples that I can think about where the woman is sexually objectified in media and made to look to be the Jezebel? What other movie? I was watching Girls Trip, and just recently watched Girls Trip. I haven't got the opportunity to look at it. And Girls Trip is actually a very funny movie. But there's this scene where Tiffany Haddish is in she is doing the infamous grapefruit technique when you are giving your man fellatio. And there's this viral video of a black woman who probably used to be a former sex worker, does this trick where she cuts a hole in does this trick when she cuts the hole in a grapefruit and sticks the penis inside the grapefruit and use the grapefruit to top the guy off, give him a blowjob. And the reason why you utilize the grapefruit, because you're simulating that not you only giving this guy a blowjob, you're actually fucking him at the same time. Tiffany Haddish is a wild woman. She's extremely talented and she's out there. And she performed this scene. I was like, oh my fucking God. I was laughing, and yet I was like, oh my God, yeah, it's just, I understand how society looks at black women, and I know people are going to look at Tiffany Haddish a certain way if she's doing that grapefruit shit like that. They already giving Tiffany Haddish a hard time because she want to put fried chicken in her purse and take it. But that's another story. What's another example of a woman being sexually objectified as a Jezebel? Oh, there was this show called Scandal. Scandal is actually a very good show, but the dynamic of the show is actually very scandalous, where Kerry Washington, I think her name is, Kerry Washington is playing a black woman who is the assistant to the President of the United States. And she's having an affair. So she is a black woman who's having an affair with a white president. And the white president is Republican. Does that sound familiar? Sounds like the relationship between Thomas Jefferson and his so-called black mistress. So everybody saw that was very scandalous. It's a good show. I just stopped watching the show when they killed off Columbus Short. I hated that. You killed off one of my favorite actors. He's a phenomenal actor. I'm like, if you're giving Robert Downey Jr. a chance, you need to give Columbus Short a chance. But again, this is not a show about black men. We're talking about black women. What is another show that shows the Jezebel? We could talk about Players Club. We could talk about how the great and delicious and beautiful Lisa Ray. Oh, I love Lisa Ray. Oh my God. Anyway, so we see the beautiful Lisa Ray, and she's, she plays the stripper you know, and that's how Lisa Ray got her come up. Matter of fact, come to think of it, some of these phenomenal actresses got their come up being like a stripper. Like, who was that actress that was in that movie? What was that movie called? The movie was called, it was with Taye Diggs and Nia Long. It was Taye Diggs, Nia Long, Morris Chestnut, Terrence Howard, that guy from Oz with the dreadlocks. What was that movie called? You know what I'm talking about. We just can't think of the name. Yeah, that's the movie where Regina Hall got her start. And Regina Hall was a stripper by the name of Candy. And I can't think of the movie's name. And Regina... Huh? No, The Best Man. No, The Best Man Holiday's the sequel. No, The Best Man, yeah. Regina Hall got her start. You know, Regina Hall was a stripper. My goodness. Oh, she was so sexy and young. Oh, my God. Anyway... Yeah, enough of me drooling off this microphone, ladies. I'm very sorry. Seems like I'm part of the problem. I'm drooling over this delicious ass black woman. But anyway. So, yeah, that's basically the example of the Jezebel stereotype that's going on in Hollywood. Now, let's talk about the mammy stereotype in Hollywood. Okay, now, the first black woman who has won an Academy Award is, what is her name? She was on Gone with the Wind. What's that black woman that won the first, Academy Award? Her name is, she's a maid, and Sister Monique, the comedian, was talking about her. Yes, the great Hattie McDaniel. Thank you, sir. Yes, my engineer is coming through with the facts. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. So, Hattie McDaniel, first black woman won the Academy Award. And you know what character that she played? The maid. Here's what the mammy stereotype is. The mammy is the non-sexually threatening black woman. Notice I said not sexually threatening black woman. So this black woman is not beautiful by beauty standards in America, right? So she's a non-sexually threatening black woman. She's usually heavy and she's intelligent. She's intelligent and she's extremely feisty. You know, a nickname for the mammy stereotype is the sassy fat black woman. You know, the sassy, the one that be like, talking out their neck and making their fingers snap, like, need to get rid of him, Paula. You know, that. Yeah, that's an image that we constantly see in Hollywood. And I can name some actresses that has won Academy Awards playing this role. We could talk about Queen Latifah, who won the Academy Award. We can talk about this Monique, who's won the Academy Award. We can talk about Octavia Spencer. Okay, we could talk about Octavia Spencer. We could talk about Oprah Winfrey. We could talk about Queen Latifah. We could talk about Monique. We could talk about Gabby Sidibe. You know, there's a lot of black women in the entertainment industry that actually fits that stereotype, that sexually non-threatening, sassy black woman. We can also talk about one of my favorite black comedians, Sister Lunell. Lunell also has that, you know, sassy black woman. I'm talking about my neck and make my fingers snap, and I'm going to tell you what it is, and you're going to listen because I am a mother figure, and you need to listen to what I say. Yeah, but, you know, that image also that's also a negative stereotype, too. You know, black women getting pigeonholed into these... We get, you know, black woman gets pigeonholed into these roles, and you know, you have to break out of the stereotype. Back to Tiffany Haddish. Like, people give Tiffany Haddish a hard time. Like, what Tiffany Haddish is doing, people think that Tiffany Haddish is cooning. I don't think so. Not at all. That's what Tiffany Haddish really is, but what she's trying to do is she's trying to figure out a way to break out of the stereotype. I can compare Tiffany Haddish to Richard Pryor, even though a lot of people are going to get mad, because Tiffany Haddish only has one dimension on Richard Pryor's greatness. And if you know the Tiffany Haddish story, Richard Pryor actually mentored Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish is wild and crazy like Richard Pryor was. Like Richard Pryor was tapped into a stereotype, and what he was trying to do is he was trying to break out of the stereotype and show that he actually had more nuance. And he was actually able to do it because back in those days, you know, we wasn't so PC, but now everybody wants to act all uppity. Everybody want to act all political correct and have their neck up in the ceiling. Act like that you don't have a black friend that acts exactly like Tiffany Haddish. You don't like Tiffany Haddish because you don't like yourself and you don't like your own community. Like, leave Tiffany Haddish alone. You know, leave the black woman alone. You know, black women have a hard time. Black women really have a hard time. You need to leave our sisters alone, man. I'm not saying it just to be a cuck. It's just I'm tired. I'm tired of it. You know, I'm on the internet, and these black men, I'm not going to say their names, they brung back an old old civil war slut shaming word. You know, they starting to call black women Negro bedwenches. Like, why the fuck would you? That is disgusting. That is one of the most vile things you can call a black woman. Like, I would rather call a black woman a cunt before I call her a Negro bedwench. Because, you know, if you don't know what the Negro bedwench was, that was the black woman that the slave master had sex with. You have to understand that the Negro bedwench, and if you're looking at the video of this podcast, I'm doing the quotations. The Negro bedwench was a victim of rape, victim of Stockholm syndrome. She was a victim. So why would you call a black woman something so vile and so disgusting? I don't understand these men. I don't. And you know, some of y'all are gonna be like, oh, you a cuck, you defending the black woman, you know. I really don't care. It's just, I don't like how I don't like how these dudes is disrespecting a woman. But you know, there are some women out here that don't deserve our respect, and I do understand that. But you know, we gotta do better as black men. We gotta do better as black men to put black women in situations where they're not victims of these stereotypes and they're not victims of sexual objectification, where they're in control and they're in power, and we black men have to step up for the black women that do deserve it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. Then when we'll come back, we'll talk about what black men can do to protect black women. Yeah, this is Jeffrey Frazier, Black Wall Street Chronicles, and we're back at it again. So earlier I was talking about what black men can do better to protect black women. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of articles, maybe one or two, from articles off of the internet that I've just found out, and I'll give my thoughts to see if this is a couple of things that black men need to do to treat black women better. Okay. Now, while I'm looking on the internet, we can basically talk about, what's her name? Sandra Bland? Yeah, we can't not forget her name. So apparently Sandra Bland, they're thinking about opening up the Sandra Bland case because they finally exposed the tape of Sandra Bland grilling a police officer for stopping her and telling her to get out of her car for some sort of broken taillight or something like that. Yeah, it's a shame that we live in this society where supremacist society where they have to weaponize the justice system just to attack random innocent black men and innocent black women. It's actually very sad. So let me type this. How can black men protect black woman? Let's see what comes up on Google. You see, Google, you can search for anything. Okay, African American rape victims, the culture is. Alright. Let's read this R. Kelly one. R. Kelly's story makes us realize that no one cares about black women. The evidence is clear. In this country, some women don't matter. This article is by Sonria Naja McDonald. Sonria Nadia McDonald. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. It was written in July 19, 2017. For far too long, I've been arguing about the basic worth of black women and girls. It's tiresome, and frankly, at this point, my face should really look like I belong with these guys. And as long as I've been arguing, both in my personal life and in my professional one, that black women and girls matter, Robert Kelly, better known as rhythm and blues singer R. Kelly, has been a central and contested point of that discussion. 15 years ago, when I was a freshman at Howard University, I got into a heated argument with the boy I was seeing and his friends. The now notorious video of R. Kelly urinating on a 14-year-old girl was available for consumption on the internet to satisfy either a sick curiosity or darker urges. It later became the central piece of evidence in his 2008 criminal trial for making child pornography, in which he was acquitted of all charges. It was widely referred as the R. Kelly sex tape. The boy, who was 19 at the time, and his friends argued that Kelly was not guilty of rape and certainly should not be held responsible for engaging in sex with an underage girl. Did you see what she was doing in that tape? He asked. She didn't look 14. It doesn't matter, I remember screaming, my words echoing through the halls of Howard's architecture school. She's still 14. She's a child. The boy's opinion was so commonplace that it didn't even register as a scandal, let alone as some sort of settlement you keep to yourself if you didn't want to be seen as a rape apologist. This wasn't an idea he was too ashamed to share. Quite the contrary. I was furious and hurt. I was supposed to be in a place surrounded by men and boys who loved and respected black women. But we had differing opinions, not only about how respect was defined, but also who was deserving of it. It was clear that they learned that some black women simply don't matter. Rather than it interrogating why a 14-year-old would have this sort of sexual knowledge, someone older and wiser must have taught her. And whether the sharing of such knowledge was remotely ethical, the boys had immediately identified the girl as a slut. This wasn't just a moral judgment, it was one that was absolved them and other men of any obligation to see the girl just that, a girl, on the short end of a screwed up power dynamic. Her worth was tied to her morality, which was tied to her sexual experience, and since she appeared to be experienced, and inappropriately so, she was disposable. She certainly wasn't worth bringing down the musical empire of someone as famous as important as Kelly, they thought. This is a message women hear over and over again. From the trial of Sanford swimmer Brock Turner to the high-profile rape cases of Steubenville, Ohio, and Maryville, Missouri. And is one that carries a special renaissance for black women and girls. We make conscious and unconscious decisions about who matters and who does not. As Zora Neale Hurston put it in The Eyes We're Watching God, the nigger woman is the mule in the world so far as she can see. In November 2013, McKee Kendall created a hashtag #FastTailGirls, to discuss premature sexualization of black girls and how we punish and blame them rather than hold black men and boys responsible for their actions. Even when they realize something's wrong, black women or girls are continued pressure to keep their mouths shut to protect black men who commit violence, sexual or otherwise, against them because of some warped definition of racial solidarity. Every once in a while, that pressure bubbles over into the news, as it did 2016 BuzzFeed news story about the way accusations of rape and scuttled at Spelman, Morehouse, and other historically black colleges and universities. It sprang up further when another anonymous Spelman freshman, driven to leave the school, started a Twitter feed at @RapeThatSpelman. Spelman has taught me to be a free-thinking woman and also to be a woman who has to keep her mouth closed to protect her brother, she tweeted. In 2015, Jewel Austin, a writer and music educator who accused Bill Cosby of sexual assault, revealed that she kept the assault a secret because she did not want to let black America down. Now we're talking about R. Kelly again. We were talking about Kelly in 1994 when he married Aaliyah when she was 15. We were talking about Kelly in 2002 when a video appeared to show him sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl. We were talking about Kelly again in 2013 when the Village Voice revisited the accusation against Kelly. And yet he's still free. He's still rich, and according to new BuzzFeed news story from the former Chicago Sun-Times reporter Jim Douglas, who wrote the original stories, Kelly has been allegedly brainwashing young women and holding them inside a cult. Kelly issued a statement denying the new allegations. Hats off to DeRogas, but it only takes a cursory glance at the news and events the past few years to see the fuller context of how black women and girls are dismissed in America. Black girls are perceived as less innocent and less needed protection than white girls, according to a new study from the Georgetown Center of Poverty and Equality. See, I was talking about this earlier. I was talking about the fact the two stereotypes of black women, and one of the stereotypes is the Jezebel. And because society see black women as the Jezebel, like is saying at this article, that means the American society feels that they should not defend black women. Okay, this article just basically was talking about the thing I was talking about earlier. The study's authors call this phenomenon adultification. Adultification. That's interesting. Little wonder then the state legislatures across the country send a message that the bodily autonomy of young women and girls doesn't matter, in the form of laws that still allow adult men to marry girls as young as 12. Black women suffer for higher rates of death from domestic violence, and yet the Mississippi legislature refused to make domestic violence grounds for divorce. Essentially throwing women away to be battered, Mississippi got them instead. Indeed. Then the president of the United States created a program called My Brother's Keeper that targets boys of color. But girls of color, especially black girls, are suspended from school at higher rates and endure systematic criminalization designed to punish them out of school. When black girls and women are fired from their jobs or suspended from school from having inappropriate or distracting hair. When Marissa Alexander doesn't enjoy the same protections offered by Florida's Stand Your Ground law when attempting to protect herself from domestic violence as George Zimmerman was. When the Grim Reaper is able to kill at least 10 black women and possibly as many as 25 over the course of 2 decades because no one bothered to engage in meaningful detective work when they're missing. The parents of woman Kelly is allegedly holding will soon hold a news conference about their accusations, their Rogulis has said. It is noteworthy that these parents refuse to be cowed by Kelly's money and social standing. But beyond that, a public event like this serves another purpose. It says that for once, when it comes to black women, someone gives a damn. This is actually a phenomenal article, and it plays right into the point that I made earlier about the 2 stereotypes of black women. Back to the Jezebel stereotype. Being that black women are the most sexually objectified women in the world, they feel that it's in their nature. They are a victim of slut shaming, and they feel that when something happens to them, they say that it's their fault and they don't need to, nobody needs to come to their defense. This is actually very horrible. And this article right here is leading me to other things I would like to talk about next week. I want to talk about next week because I have to end the show very soon. So next week, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this Grim Reaper. I'm interested in the fact that there was a serial killer. No, his name is the Grim Sleeper. That there's a serial killer named the Grim Sleeper that was killing 10 and possibly 25 black women in the course of 2 decades. And we have to talk about this. Yeah, because not too many people know about... I'm going to look up into serial killers that attack black women. Missing black women. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, thank you very much. And look out for the show next week. Take care. Bye.